people are afraid to be open and honest and vulnerable, but what they're missing out on is that genuine connection with other people. So when it comes to relationships or even just being yourself and wanting to be liked by other people, you need to understand what you're sacrificing. You're sacrificing yourself.
Yeah. It's more important.
Your desire to be liked from other people is causing you to sacrifice yourself, your morals, your values, who you identify as, because you want to be liked. I can tell you right now, it's so worth it to speak your truth, be yourself. Don't be an asshole, but it's so worth it to speak your truth and have a super strong relationship, even with a small number of people, than it is to be liked by everybody.
Intelligent person avoids three things in life: in youth, lust; in maturity, arrogance; in old age, greed. Intelligent person avoids three things in life: in youth, lust; in maturity, arrogance; in old age, greed.
I don't know. I think it just struck a chord because of the whole lust thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. The guys that I see that are the most like hyper successful, hyper competitive, they all have a tendency to like, they don't jerk off. Like most of them. And most of them have uber control over their desire for women. Like my friend Dante, shout out to Dante. This dude is, I'm telling you, women flock to this man like Lucas type flock to this man. And he doesn't give a fuck. He has one body. Now two, because he has a girlfriend. He's our age. And he could probably have, no shit, 500 bodies if he wanted to. Yeah. And he, like, I remember one time he told me that we were having this conversation about women, and it came up in conversation where he was basically like, dude, you know me, I'm not fucking around with this girl. He's like, I don't give a fuck if a 10 out of 10 is naked in my bed. I'll look at them in the face and tell them to fuck off. Like, it doesn't matter to me. And he said it with such conviction, and it was true. It's the most bizarre thing. Like, you look at this guy, and you say, like, oh, I could do that too. But you're not tempted with the type of temptations that he is. Like, you don't have to deal with the same things that he has to deal with. Like, this kid is so fucking good looking, and he's so charismatic and so kind, and like, women want this guy. And his ability to just say no, I don't know. And he's one of my friends that's going to be uber successful, and I know, and you can just tell. What do you think?
Well, I think. Dude.
Thanks for tuning in.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because I would just the angle that I want to look at it from is just like, why are girls attracted to him? You know, like almost the kind of the flip side of it. You know, like why do you think it's primarily just because of his looks?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I think
no, not primarily, and then his character and like also.
Well,
things
I
like
think
that
women
too.
are attracted to competence because competence breeds humanity.
Okay.
Like that's what keeps us going. Okay. So I think evolutionarily, women are wired to like a confident and competent guy. Okay. And 9 times out of 10, that guy is, competent because he has influence. And when you have influence, you stay alive. Right. And so it's that simple. Okay. That's the way I look at it. Yeah. But, if you want to look at into it in any of the deeper facets of life, you can. Yeah. Guys that are competent and confident take care of their bodies. Yeah. They take care of their minds. Mm-hmm. They're spiritually sound. They have good relationships with people. Yeah. Like they have a good career. They make a lot of money. And all these things usually come together, but they're a signifier, not a signifier. They are a byproduct of being competent and confident within yourself. And so to me, that's the way, that's why I think women are attracted to this kid. Yeah. Bearing in mind, he's 6'2", tan as fuck, ripped, and super good looking, along with the fact that he's super hardworking and everything in between. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But his ability to say no to women is amazing, because I do see a lot of dudes, right, like you, including myself, where I think that I'm on a similar level to that. Not to blow smoke up my ass, but in the areas of life that I can't control. Yeah. But when it comes to women, like, I struggle. Yeah. So it's hard because, you look at that sort of situation, you're like...
So why is there no temptation on his end?
There is temptation.
There is temptation.
But his ability to say no is what's so profound. Okay, so do you think he feels that kind of compulsiveness to act on, say, having sex with girls? Or... But his ability
to observe that compulsiveness and not let it engulf him, right? Kind of being in that like lower level cognition state. He kind of kicks it up into that higher cognition state and recognizes like, wait, this is just for short-term satisfactory, and in the long term, I'm just going to feel like shit, right?
Yeah.
Just because you're maybe using things as a means to an end or things of that nature.
Well, what blows my mind is that, you could still have a guy like me, for example, where I'll know that. I'll know that.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
think of it
Yeah.
when I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
And I'll still make the wrong choice. What is that difference maker between me and Dante? I don't understand. Right? The only thing that puts me on a fucking lock is being in a relationship.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm not going to cheat. What's the how?
But that relationship, it puts you on lock, yeah. But without that relationship, it becomes a lot tougher.
Right. But to me, it's a
So it is still an issue.
yes and no.
Well, meaning like if you can't become like Dante, right?
Right.
And you don't have that ability to say no, there's a gap there, right?
Right.
Because you're here, right, in that specific area, and Dante's here, right? And you want to get to where Dante's at. So there is a gap, right? You can call that a flaw, you can call that a problem, you can call
Well,
that
there
an
was.
issue.
Now there's not.
No, exactly. But don't you think, like ideally, I'm not trying to say you're in a relationship or anything like that, but don't you think you should not, because right now, like I view that relationship, right? So like here's you, here's Dante, right?
Yeah.
And right now you're with Dante, right? But how you got there, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like you're temporarily visiting.
It's
where
not
he
my
is.
means.
Yeah.
It's I'm relying on the external environment to fix it. Right.
Exactly. So do you think there's work that needs to be done there?
Yeah. But
Like
I
how do you do it with?
Right, but I don't know what, because here's the question.
Yeah.
The question is, what is my problem?
Yeah.
And the answer is, I have no fucking idea. I've been trying to figure that out for a long time.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been dealing with this issue.
Yeah.
Now that I'm in a relationship, it's fixed the problem.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the problem
Well, it
is.
really hasn't fixed the problem. Like it's fixed the consequences of the problem.
Yes,
but
that's
the
right.
problem is still there.
Well, maybe. I don't know what the actual problem is, so I don't know if it's fixed or if I don't know if the problem and the consequences are fixed or if just the consequences are fixed. Because I feel good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as far as I can tell, it hasn't trickled over in anything else, right? So, for example, if I'm trying to have sex with women to fill some sort of insecurity gap, when I get into a relationship, it'll trickle over into something else.
Okay.
To where
Okay, so you think it's more
maybe I'll go on
general.
Instagram and try and skew my post to get more likes or something like that.
So you don't think the root of this problem per se is that temptation to be with women, but rather a temptation to feel significant or to fill that void? That
I
more
have no
generally
idea.
speaking,
I have no-
because that would make sense.
It does make sense, but what doesn't make sense is that getting into a relationship, aka something external, would fix the consequences and have those consequences not spill over to any other areas of my life. Because I've been uber cognizant of that. And I haven't noticed it in anything.
Okay.
Nothing. The only thing that's been, my life has just gotten better.
Yeah.
Nothing has gone
I mean, so
worse.
maybe it has fixed the problem.
I think, and I'm trying really hard to be super unbiased,
Yeah,
on
for
whatever, to be like, because maybe there's a part of me that wants to ignore the fact that there's a problem, and I don't. So I'm in a relationship, so problem's gone,
Yeah.
swept under the rug. Maybe I genuinely don't feel that way. I think my best guess right now is that it's just simply I'm a 22-year-old dude, and I want to procreate, and I don't know how to deal with that temptation now. I don't have any better answer, but my gut tells me that that's correct. But
What's correct?
but my mind tells me that my idea of I just want to procreate because I'm a 22-year-old dude.
Yep.
But that's what my heart tells me. Like that's what my gut feeling says. Like that feels right. But my mind is like philosophically looking at this like, really?
Yeah.
It just your problem just goes away with something external. That's like taking antidepressants and saying I'm not depressed anymore, while maintaining terrible
she's
habits.
still there.
Right. So like you think you're not depressed anymore because you're on antidepressants, but in reality you're not working out, you don't have good relationships, etc.
So you said you haven't noticed any other
No.
areas where that significance is kind of like that need for significance is kind of trickled into?
No.
Okay.
Not even just significance. Like
Or whatever void.
any other area of my life hasn't gotten worse. It should get worse right away
Okay.
because I'm not talking to any women at all. Like more than just dry friends. Like not even a little bit. I'm not getting any sort of attention. I'm not like none. And immediately there should be some pullback where it should spill over into something else. There's nothing.
So maybe it isn't that void. Like maybe because if it's maybe it is like because I could look at it like from so many different angles. You know what I mean? Because like maybe you getting in that relationship, right? Because like when you use the depressants example, like that makes sense, right? You like something external fix it, like because there are external solutions that can help your current situation, such as money, right? Like they help your basic needs.
What if I'm looking for love
Maybe
and now I have it?
that. So how would you define love?
I just want to feel connected to somebody. Like actually connected.
So do you think
That feels so fucking
Yeah.
right. That feels so right. Damn. That's it.
So do you think
I'm looking for love and I'm trying to fill that hole when I'm not in a relationship with attention from women when that temporary spark is there and it's gone after you have sex with them. But in reality, it's not as good as a monogamous, long-term, healthy relationship, which is what I have with Rachel. And immediately it's filled the second I have that bond with her and emotionally decide to invest. And she invests in me.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. True love.
Damn. Look at that.
Yeah, not false love, dude.
No, yeah.
Because like every time you would have sex with a woman,
Yeah.
right? Like in your lower cognitive state, right? When you had that kind of temptation, I'm just fucking guessing at this point. Not guessing, but like if I had to like make an educated judgment, when like you may have tricked yourself into believing that kind of like, oh my God, this will bring me, I'm not saying you were thinking this or doing this, but like maybe subconsciously you were like, oh, this will bring me that love, right?
Yeah.
But the only way for you to really have that love is to be in a relationship with someone that you genuinely know, care about, is willing to invest just as much as you.
Right.
So to me, that makes a lot of sense,
Yeah.
right? And you let go of that false love and now you're finding true love.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it feels, sex can trick you and lust
sure,
can
man.
trick you into
Yeah.
thinking it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it never tricked me
No, yeah.
logically,
Yeah.
but it tricks you here
Yeah.
because you get that quick little fix and then it's gone. Get the quick little fix and then it's gone. Which makes me think that the reason why people don't have good relationships, especially, relationships in high school and college, is because they aren't vulnerable. And so they're not vulnerable. Yeah. So then they look to fill that gap with attention from other guys or attention from other girls.
Yeah.
But the reality is if they were truly invested, truly open and truly honest and truly were vulnerable with their partner, they wouldn't be in a position where they would want to get attention from other people because they would be fulfilled by that monogamous, healthy relationship because they're open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
And that fills you up. But the truth of the matter is people are scared, and rightfully so. Maybe you've been hurt, I don't know. But people are scared of being in love because of the fear of being hurt. Because when you're in love with somebody and you're open and you're vulnerable, you're opening yourself up for attack. If they cheat on you, if they lie to you, if they break your heart, they can break your heart. But if you stay in this closed little shell and don't allow yourself to open up and be vulnerable, you don't get hurt. But long term, who's winning? Not you, because you don't have a good relationship. So the truth is being open and honest and vulnerable with somebody has a price that you need to be willing to put on the line to have a good, healthy relationship. Yeah. And if you don't, you're going to keep running into the same problems over and over again. And it's scary, and I get it. And from personal experience, I completely understand. But it's worth it.
Yeah, because it's necessary. You have to be vulnerable. Like, there's no if, and, or buts. Like, because if I was just thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking about Joe and his girlfriend, right? Yeah. And on the surface, if you're looking on social media, if you just hear Joe's story, right? And maybe we'll cut this out. Maybe we should put this in there. But like, and maybe I should just use more broad, vague examples, right? Yeah, probably should. You think I should or no?
No, just speak.
Okay, just speak. All right. And then we'll look at it after. I was thinking about this. I was like, on the surface of Joe's story, he goes to Italy. Mm-hmm. On the last day he's there, he falls in love with this girl.
Yeah.
He talks to her for another 6 months over phone. Mm-hmm. And then she comes here to America from Italy. Mm-hmm. And they fall madly in love.
Yeah.
Right. And Joe's spending $3,000 on a weekend trip to Italy, right? A weekend trip. Like, you can't make this shit up. Like, on the surface of it, it seems so amazing. It seems like everything is perfect, right? From the Instagram photos. And this is not saying like anything, like I don't know their relationship at all. I'm not there at all, right? I'm not making any judgments or
it's speculation.
Pure speculation. And this is a general statement across even our relationship, right?
Of course.
But I was thinking about it. I was like, there's got to be something that Joe doesn't like about Federica, and vice versa, right? Just as there, then I related it back to my own relationship between us. Like, there's things that you do that I don't like, and there's things that I do that you don't like, right? So it's like vice versa.
Of course.
And it's so easy to get caught in that trap of just believing that your partner doesn't have any issues, that your partner has no flaws, in whatever partner, relationship, friend, family member, right? But the more you genuinely get to know someone, you be vulnerable with them for who they actually are, right? You're going to see those flaws, right? And the more you're willing to be open about those flaws, the more you're willing to genuinely open yourself up, like you said, and show who you actually are, that will, at least I believe, greatly ensure the longevity of your relationship.
Of course. Well, because you know who they are. You're not going to have a long-term relationship with somebody who you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, if I only tell you my fucking highlight reel of who I am, and I hide every single bad part about me, you're not going to think I'm a real person. You're not.
No.
You're not. Yeah. That's a perfect example of why the people that go around trying to be liked by everybody don't get close to anybody. They're liked by everyone, loved by none. Why? Because they're not open and vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because we're all fucked up.
Yeah.
You try and appear a certain way. You try and come across in a way where you and I think the same, and you and I think the same, and you and I think the same, and we're all the same. Because I want you all to like me for
100-faced.
Yes, exactly. Just have a smiley face when you're with me. Because
consistency.
Right. Because my ego wants you to like me. And I can't deal with the fact of showing you my true colors, showing you my true beliefs, showing you my flaws. Because if you know that, then I'm risking you not liking me. And that's a detriment to a lot of people. And they're too afraid of that. So they'll keep putting on this fake show and pretending like they fit in with every single crowd there is and are loved by no one. Right? You take a look at Andrew Tate's fans. Right? Love him, hate him, indifferent, doesn't matter. His fans are his fans. And they will never not love Andrew Tate. Why? Because he's open and honest and vulnerable with everything. He tells the truth how he sees it. Yeah. He doesn't try and hide under a mask. He doesn't try and he says this open and honestly. He doesn't try and, live according to what society thinks is acceptable. He speaks his truth. Yeah. If you hate him and you think he's a piece of shit, that's fine. But there's a reason why so many people love him. How many people do you know have such real fans like he does? Almost none. Like, people are afraid to be open and honest and vulnerable, but what they're missing out on is that genuine connection with other people. And so when it comes to relationships or even just being yourself and wanting to be liked by other people, you need to understand what you're sacrificing. You're sacrificing yourself.
Yeah, it's more important.
Your desire to be liked from other people is causing you to sacrifice yourself, your morals, your values, who you identify as, because you want to be liked. I can tell you that. I can tell you right now, it's so worth it to speak your truth, be yourself. Don't be an asshole.
Of course.
But it's so worth it to speak your truth and have a super strong relationship, even with a small number of people, than it is to be liked by everybody. Dude. The question that I was ultimately leading back to was, what's the difference between me and Dante? Like, he is not in a relationship. Like, we're both in a relationship right now. But, like, let's say he's not in a relationship. I'm not in a relationship. He's dealing with temptations 20 times more than me. It's not like he's gotten all of his fun and partying out. So he just is like, yeah, whatever. He hasn't. He doesn't live fucking the top G lifestyle on a yacht, fucking as many women as he wants. Yeah. He just doesn't. Is it the way he was raised? My guess is that has something to do with it.
For sure.
Genetic. How? Ow, bro.
Okay, so besides, childhood conditioning, besides how we currently operate, or genetics, I should say, I think, that's the domain we're trying to discover, because, like, we already know those two things. We're trying to discover that difference, because you already know those two things.
Do you think maybe it has something to do with the fact that he never got started, so it's not hard to stop?
Oh, yeah, dude. Like, for me, like, maybe this will help. I have no temptation when it comes to alcohol. Absolutely none, right? Like, you could throw drinks all in my face. You could, like, do all this different type of stuff, right? So little. Like, no. Absolutely none. Like, I do not care, because I've never opened that door, right? Like, I've never experienced that, right? Therefore, there's no temptation at all. But as compared to something like girls shaking their ass on Instagram, right? Like, that is tempting, because I've opened that door, right? And I know the effects that it has. So maybe.
Because it's not like he's a virgin.
No, exactly. But, like, maybe because that would make sense, because you have experienced. Well, has Dante ever been in, like, a fling before, like a one night stand?
No.
Okay, so
Never.
So through you, kind of opening that door, right? You've experienced those kind of consequences so many times, right? And it's just because it's not just conceptual, right? You've experienced it, right? And so Sadhguru makes this great distinction between knowledge, right, and knowing, right? Like, right? Like, for Dante, he has conceptual knowledge of it, right? So he's gathered information from secondhand sources of what it's like to be on the other side of that door. Just like me with alcohol and things of that nature, right? So you have that experiential knowing, and that, because you've felt it, and it's not just like you're conceptualizing, right? Hypothetically visualizing that, right? Like, hypothetically visualizing being with, X amount of girls, right? And how beautiful they are, right? Like, you've been in that kind of circumstance, right? Therefore, and at least in my opinion, like, actually being in that circumstance as opposed to hypothetically being in it, right? Through your mind is way more tempting, right? Because you feel. There's a big difference there. And since you felt it, that brings on way more temptation, right? And so, since Dante doesn't have that feeling, since Dante doesn't have that knowing, right, there's way less temptation. And most likely, if I had to guess, it makes it a lot easier for him to say no, in addition to him already establishing that regular habit in his life, right? Because, I'm sure if he was like, after he said no so many times and made that other choice of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. This is with any habit, right?
Yeah.
It would start to bring on more temptation.
Yeah, it's probably. I also think it has something to do with I think it also has something to do with the fact that he's reinforced his identity so many times to where he's not going to turn around, because who you identify as is the strongest force in the whole human personality. It's like, if you identify as the type of person that, like for you, for example, you are the type of person who's in shape. You're not somebody who, works out. You are somebody who's in good physical shape. So you're never going to be not in good physical shape. You never will. I know it. Because that's how you identify. That's how I identify. Yeah. And so it doesn't matter if we have to wake up at 2 in the fucking morning. If that's the only time we can go, we're gonna go. Yeah. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And so for me, looking at someone like Dante, it makes me think, like, he's thought of this so many times and has gone through the repetitions of saying no so many times, and has had himself in the position where the repetitions of saying no and the repetitions of understanding this is who the fuck I am, and I don't care what you want, and I don't care if it would feel nice to have sex with you. I'm not going to do it because that's not me.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah.
It reinforces his identity of, I just don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that goes hand in hand,
right.
Both of each other, because this message can be applied to so many areas, so many things. Like, it's not just fixated on having sex, drinking alcohol.
To me, the easiest example is like drugs, like literally drugs.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Like heroin, increases your dopamine to insane extents, to where it doesn't matter how good your life gets. If you win the lottery, if you have the most amount of accolades, you won't feel the same amount of dopamine that you'll get when you take heroin. You just won't. You will never. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, the temptation.
But you're not going to take it. because you've never had it. Probably.
So what stops you from taking heroin is the consequences that you know it'll bring on.
Right. But it's way easier.
From a conceptual standpoint rather than experiential one.
Right. It's way easier for you to say no to heroin because you've never had heroin
There you go, bro. That's it. That's why it's so hard. That's the difference.
Yeah.
That's literally, I don't know what else to say, but like that's literally the difference because you're coming from an experiential standpoint while Dante's coming from a conceptual one.
It's way easier to never start than it is to stop.
Yep. Yeah. Because now you've dug yourself that hole, right? And now you're climbing out of that hole.
Right.
Why even dig the hole in the first place?
Right.
Yeah.
It's so hard to climb out.
Yeah.
It's way easier to just stay outside
You're
the
pretty
hole.
much climbing out of it without a ladder. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
Yeah.
you're just freaking,
Yeah.
you know, it's like overcoming conditioning, right? Like it's just like me trying to stop becoming addicted to thought, right? Like the most conditioned part of who we are, like
The biggest addiction.
the biggest addiction.
Yeah.
Incredibly hard, you know? So, but yeah.
Damn. This has been insightful.
Yeah, man. I'm glad we had this conversation.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was open and vulnerable. I
Yeah,
feel like-
dude. Good. No,
feel like I've alluded-
good on you for being vulnerable. Like that shows a lot about your character. It shows a lot about who you are as an individual. I know. Okay. Okay. It shows a lot.
Yeah. No, I get what you're
being
saying.
vulnerable shows a lot about your character. Like obviously, some people might have some interpretations about this, and I
Right.
think it's important to put this in here. We're saying this because we're trying to work through our own issues while helping you guys at the same time too. You know what I mean?
It's the best way we can help.
It's the best way we can help you, and it at least in my opinion helps people resonate the most. You know, so if you've made it to this point and, you know, there was this conversation, you know, thank you, one, for watching. And two, like, understand that Jason is a very strong individual for coming. No bullshit, bro. Like, seriously, no bullshit. Like,
I appreciate
your deepest flaw to talk about,
Yeah.
not only with me, but on the internet where anybody, all 7 billion of us could see, 8 billion, who even knows, right? Can see. That's some deep shit, dude. And I know that's like, you don't want anybody knowing that, right? Like, some of the closest people that we know, in addition to random people across the world, can see and take any interpretation away from it. But if it's a person that is able to see through the bullshit, see that a person that's coming from a state of vulnerability and is willing to vocalize that vulnerability and not pin it against them and their character, they'll be able to see you for who you truly are, you know, and a person that's trying to overcome an issue. Right. And that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of willpower to do things of that nature. So, dude, I give you a lot of props. I know it's not easy at all. And seriously, dude, like, I have a lot of respect for you doing that.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks, brother.
All right, man. Of course.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in, dude.
Love yourself because I love you.
Stay handsome, baby.